Hi, and I'm Bill Guest Reviews. And today I'm going to be doing a review on the Walking Dead Negan and Glenn 2-pack. So before we take a look at Glenn, let's take a look at Negan and the accessories he comes with. So this set actually comes with quite a few accessories for both figures. So first up, we've got this base right here. Looks like the gravel part of the road where, or was it the forest? It was by the road where Negan captured everyone and made them kneel. I think that looks really nice. There's lots of sculpting detail going on there. And it has a single peg hole for either Negan or Glenn. You can put either figure on it. But I prefer to put Negan on it so you can get him doing that Negan lean. There. So I really like that. And of course, Negan comes with Lucille, which I think looks really, really nice. It's got a lot of blood right here. Because the barbed wire actually, you can see some silver in some places, but it's still covered in blood. So it still maintains some parts that didn't get bloody and some that did, which I think looks really awesome. Negan actually comes with an alternate hand, but you can't actually put Lucille in it because Lucille is actually a really hard plastic that is very thin right here where you're supposed to hit the grip. And you can't put this hand, just the normal hand, because this is actually his pointing hand, the one that he comes with. And this one is the normal hand. But as you can see, the peg hole is actually to the side quite a bit. It's not actually centered. So you can't really, like if you're putting it on like that, it won't go on. You have to kind of angle it like that and put it on. And it still doesn't want to stay on. Plus, it can't hold Lucille. See, I just don't want to break it. You probably could get it to hold Lucille, but I don't really want to force it and break it, because doing that in a review would be horrible. So I mostly just keep it with this hand, because you can get him holding Lucille like he does in the show, which I think looks really awesome. And up next, he comes with a machine gun. I think it looks really nice. It's got a lot of sculpted detail as well as paint detail. Over the black, it has a dry brushing of gunmetal color, which looks awesome. And he can hold this. This is another reason I like this hand, because it can hold the machine gun. I think he only used a machine gun once in the show, and that was in The Day Will Come When You Won't Be, when he kicks Rick out of the RV and the crowd of walkers. There. It doesn't look too bad. I think it looks a little funny because he's holding it kind of at an angle. And Glenn does the same thing with his gun, his scoped rifle. And also, let me get this out of his hand here. You can put it over him, like this, the strap over him, I meant to say. I actually think he looks really awesome like that. I think I'll leave it like that for the remainder of the review. And he also, just about forgot about this accessory. It comes with just a pistol. We've seen this used before with Andrea, I believe. But I know it's been used before. And he can kind of hold the gun, not like he's supposed to, but he can hold it. He holds it like this, which looks really funny. And I don't want to stretch the figure's hand out for Lucille either. You know, because since I can't fit the other handle, and I don't want to stretch this one out. That way he won't be able to hold any of his accessories. That'd be horrible. So there are all of his accessories, and now let's take a look at the face sculpt. For the head sculpt I mean, McFarlane Toys just knocked it out of the park with this figure. It looks so much like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, it isn't even funny. I mean, look at that. That is just a dead-on likeness of him. That looks really, really awesome. I think his beard came out nicely. It's just painted on. I like how it has the gray painted in with the black. That looks really nice. And he's got some blood right here on the left side of his face. Here he's got his scarf. It's not removable, which does bum me out a little bit, because his head can only move just a little bit with the scarf on. And all of his buttons and zippers came out nicely on this one. On the collar tops version, they were kind of all wobbly, and like the zippers were clear over here when it was supposed to be up here. I think it came out nicely. And there you've got some more blood just splattered all over him. There's even more blood down here on his pants. I think that looks really awesome. And his jacket looks really nice. I like how it has that glossy black color to look like real leather. It's got some wrinkles sculpted in on the back. And his pants are actually sculpted nicely too. But you see this gap right here? This keeps wanting to do that. It's not broken. It's just loose, and whenever you move it the slightest bit, it just pops off. Which does bother me. That's about my only complaint with this figure. He's got some nice sculpting on his pants. It kind of feels like a little bit like sandpaper. It feels kind of rough. So I think that's awesome. And there are his boots also. The buckles came out nicely on them also. They didn't come out good on the Color Tops version though. They were clear over here. And I hate that when I get a brand new figure and then there's something wrong with it. I shouldn't have to repaint it, you know? That's the way I look at it. But I really, really love this figure. And this is the first version of him. There's going to be another Walgreens version, but it's not going to be bloody. I always prefer the bloody versions just because you're in a zombie apocalypse. You're not going to be clean. I mean, you kind of have to face facts with that. Okay, so now I'm going to go over his articulation. He's got a ball-jointed head that can move back just a little bit. Can look down just a little bit. He can move side to side just a little bit. Like I said, the scarf does hinder his head articulation, but not really by much. He's got ball-jointed shoulders that can move out that far. He's got a single-jointed elbow with a swivel, and he's got a swivel at the wrist that can move up and down, as well as side to side. He's got a little bit of pivot at his waist, and I did forget to point out that the rivets right here on his one belt, they're off by just a little bit, but not by much. Okay, that's what I wanted. And see, that leg just wants to constantly fall off. He's got ball-jointed hips. Well, they're actually a swivel. He's got swivel hips that can do a complete split. I think that's really awesome that you can get him into that kind of split. See, this leg, once you get to moving it or get anywhere near it, it just wants to fall off. He can kick forward that far, and he can kick back inhumanly far. And with these hips, these swivel hips, you can get him doing that Negan lean, which I just love. The Color Tops version couldn't really do it, but this one can, and I love that. He's got a single jointed knee, and a swivel at the boot. And again, his other leg fell off. I'm not sure what to do because I can't return it now that I've opened it. And that's really the only thing that's wrong. The figure is just fine other than that. Other than the leg just wanting to randomly fall off whenever you move it. So overall, I really like this toy, but it is annoying that the leg just wants to fall off constantly. Okay, so next up, we've got Glenn Reed. And he's got even more accessories than Negan. So first up, we'll go with his tiny accessory and work up to his biggest. He's got Herschel's pocket watch. Which looks really nice because the time is actually painted on it, like all of the time. I thought it was just like maybe squigglies. But it actually has a time on it. What time does it say? It says 12:15, I think. It's very microscopic, but I think that looks really awesome. And Glenn can hold it in his hand. It is a real chain, so I really like that also. But don't knock him over first. But he can hold the pocket watch like that. Of course. Before the review, he was holding it just fine. There. He can hold it, trust me, he can. Up next, it comes with this little knife. And it actually has a lot of sculpting detail here on the handle. It's actually got kind of like a fingerprint kind of texture to it. I think that looks really nice. And what I like to do is, he has a sheath right here that you can put it into. I like to put Herschel's pocket watch. It's actually Herschel's pocket watch that he gave to Glenn. I like to put the knife in like this. That way it'll stay. I think that looks awesome like that. Up next, he has a really tiny pistol. And I don't think this has been used before. I don't have the previous Glenn, so it might have been used for him. But as far as I know, this hasn't been used with any other figure because it's smaller than all the other pistols. And it can fit in his right hand very nicely. Let me get it in there. Okay, there. So you can see that he can hold it very nicely. I forgot to say that he can hold his knife only in his left hand, though, because you can see it's tinier. I did forget to mention that. And Glenn also has the holster right here. It's on his left side. Put it like that. Let me see here. Sometimes I need to get right up on it to get it in the right place. And it also buttons down like that. It has a little peg. I think that looks really nice. And then for his final accessory, he comes with this scoped assault rifle. And he can hold it in his hand, but he kind of does the same thing that Negan does with his machine gun. It kind of angles when you put it in their hands. Okay, let me get it wedged in there. There. So you can see that, oh, Glenn stopped holding it. There. Of course, now that I'm doing a review, it doesn't want to go in his hand at all. There. You can't really get it all the way in his left hand, but when you do, he's kind of holding it at an angle like that, which looks really, really odd. So, you can also put this over him, the strap over his shoulders. But it does kind of hang there like that because the strap is just way too big. If it was smaller, you'd be able to put it on Glenn's back, but you can see that it's really, really huge. Okay. So, for the face sculpt, this, again, McFarlane Toys just did an awesome job on this. This looks so much like Steven Yeun, it isn't even funny. Even got his little tiny mustache and goatee right. It's just painted on, not sculpted on, but he doesn't really have much of one in the show. So I think that that looks really good. He has some blood splatter on his face. I think his hair came out nicely too. I actually saw another one where his hair wasn't painted right here and it looked like he was balding. So you do have to watch about that if you buy this pack. And then he has that strap right there that goes to his holster. And this strap right here that fastens down, it does tend to come out sometimes. Yeah, it's not going to go in right now. It's being uncooperative at the moment. But he's got some more blood there on his shirt. I think that looks really awesome. And I actually like how it has a dry brushing of dark brown over the whole shirt, which just makes it look dirty. But if you look at his sleeves like they're filthy, and his back's completely clean. So that does bother me just a little bit, just because, you know, that's kind of impossible because his whole shirt is just dirty. And then back here, clean, dirty, clean, dirty, clean. Okay, enough of that. But he's got a lot of wrinkles sculpted in right here, and I think that looks really nice because of the holster right there. I think that looks awesome. And he's actually got a little bit of a texture to his shirt. Kind of has, not really sure kind of what texture, kind of like a sweater texture to it. I think that's really awesome. Here are his pants. He's got a little bit of blood right here and here. I think that looks really awesome. He has more wrinkles sculpted in there. And my only complaint is with his feet. Well, of course, other than the clean back, is his boots. They kind of blend in with his pants. I think they need to be just a little bit of a different color just to differentiate it, because it kind of looks like his pants and boots are the same thing. If you put them like that, it doesn't look so much like it, but up like that, it just really looks like his boots are just part of his pants. So overall, I really like this because this is the first Glenn figure I have. I didn't get a chance to get the one with the riot gear or the prison gear before. So I'm happy to add this to my collection. Plus, I just think it looks so much like Steven Yeun, it isn't even funny. So now I'm going to go over his articulation. He's got a ball-jointed head that can move back that far. It can actually move all the way back now that I'm looking at it. It can look all the way down to move side to side. He has a little bit of pivot right there. He's got ball-jointed shoulders that can move out that far. He's got a single-jointed elbow and a swivel. He's got a swivel at the wrist that can move up and down and side to side. He's got a slight swivel right there to his waist. He's got swivel at the hips that his right hip can't actually move out because of this holster right here. But his left one, he can do a karate kick all the way out. He can kick forward all the way and back all the way. Doesn't actually, the holster or his sheath doesn't actually hinder that any. He's got a single jointed knee. And he's got a swivel at the ankle that can move up and down. And this is the first one that can actually move all the way down, so you can get him into that kneeling position. And side to side. So I'm really, I just can't give McFarlane Toys enough praise for these two figures, because they're just amazing. And if you were wondering, I actually did try this. This was the first thing I did when I actually got it home. You can pop his head off here. It's just on the ball joint like that. And if you have the normal and the San Diego Comic-Con Bastion Glenn heads from the comic figure, he actually stays on there. And I think that just looks really awesome. And I actually read that McFarlane Toys was originally going to include the Bastion head with this, but after the season premiere, they actually scrapped that from it. But I do think that McFarlane Toys intentionally made it so that you could put these heads on there. The neck looks just a little bit big, but nothing major, because if you look at it from back here, you can't even tell that this head doesn't even belong on it. And then if you have the San Diego Comic-Con version, it can also fit on there. So I also love that, because, you know, you can get the Bastion head thing going on there. So that's really awesome. And it doesn't stretch the peg out any, because there's actually no ball joints in those heads. When you remove them from the body of the comic Glenn, it comes out with nothing. And it still stays on there, which I think is really awesome. So let me angle the camera down here just a little bit. So here is Negan compared to Glenn. They can both stand by themselves, which is really awesome. And here is Glenn next to Maggie. I think the height difference is good on these two. And I really think Maggie needs an updated figure, because look at that face. That doesn't look like Lauren Cohen at all. Here they are next to Maggie. Maggie doesn't really want to stand, so I'll just put her over here. Then here's Glenn and Abraham, or Glenn and Negan compared to Abraham, next to Abraham. Again, I think the height difference is wonderful on these figures. And here they are next to Rick. Let me see if I can get Rick to stay. There they are next to Rick. And then here they are next to Sasha. And I'm going to have to hold her up. So I think this set is really awesome, just because they come with a lot of accessories, more accessories than I figured they'd come with. And it's just really awesome. The likeness is great, the sculpting is great, the paint is great, the accessories. I just can't go on enough about this. So I would highly recommend this. So if you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching.